great change Midori as a summer planner experiment part 2. It's a big mouthful. I realized within 2 days of, like I said, I'm still using my day on 2 pages for now because I still need it right now, but as a trial run, kind of getting ready for summer, like I said, so I don't get too caught off guard. I realized within 2 days of using the Midori as a planner, I need that weekly chart. I work off that weekly chart multiple times a day. So that's one thing I realized right away. Second thing I realized right away was that I also did not like too much writing with the calendar when I have to turn my Midori to use the weekly calendar. In the DIYFish Midori Traveler's Notebook inserts, it's kind of like checkbook style. You turn it sideways so your binding is running here. I'll show you guys. And you've seen it in my blog and YouTube and analytics tracking Midori. I use that same calendar. So what I did, figuring I'm going to use what I have on hand, I printed the pages from the DIYFish version 2 that I already had because I use them all the time. You could also do the same thing with version 2.1 because these parts of the files are the same, except I believe the weekly calendar portion is smaller in version 2.1. It's narrower. You could size it up before you print it because that's what I did. I took the weekly chart and the weekly calendar are on one page in the DIYFish version 2 file. I sized it up from 100% to 115%, and I printed those, cut them apart, and that way the weekly chart will run horizontally just like I have in my file effects. It's the same exact printout. And I just glued that right on top of the other calendar, and then as a tip-in, I put my weekly chart. And the upside to that is with that tip-in of the weekly chart to the left side, and this will make more sense when I show you. I know this is probably making no sense, I'm babbling. The back of that can be used as extra note space the prior week. So if you write on the back of the weekly chart, it's extra note space on this side. When you go to the following week, you flip it out, it's your weekly chart. So I realized I had to have those two things. So I moved some things around in there a little bit. I went ahead and did it for the whole summer just because I was on a roll. You know how that gets, you start messing with stuff and you're just on a roll. So I will show you what it looks like, and we will see how it goes over the next couple of days. I know I said I was going to try it for a week and then show you guys, but then within 2 days realizing I have to have that weekly chart. And the nice thing about having the weekly chart is it saves space on the weekly calendar. I was writing my tasks in on there. If I use that weekly chart, between that and my project pages, I don't have to write a ton of tasks in on every day. So I will flip this around and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, thanks guys. Bye-bye. Okay guys, let me show you what I did. I have the ceiling fan running. It's really, really muggy here today, so I hope it's not making too much noise. Let me show you what I have done. I already recorded this once, but I realized I was flashing a new Twitter account that I set up. I was flashing my password everywhere, so all covered up now. What I did was I printed out from the version 2 file of the Lifemapping Inserts from DIYFish that I already use in my file effects. I printed only the pages for May, June, July, and August, because that is what the Midori Traveler's Notebook Insert from DIYFish, it's 4 months. I printed from my version 2 Life Mapping Inserts only the weekly calendar and the weekly chart. They come on one page. I scaled it up to 115% from 100% because it fills this page up a little more. Otherwise, there was a lot of space between here and here, a lot of white space, because the height is different, obviously, in a personal size, which was the size of my file, for a personal size file effects than this measurement for a Midori Traveler's Notebook. So I scaled this up to 115%, printed it out. Normally this would be a fold in that the line is a fold, but I cut these apart and just with some washi tape attached the weekly chart to the already existing insert. Okay, and the weekly calendar, honestly, just because I wanted it running horizontally, like I said before, I just glued it right on top of the calendar that would normally run vertically before you had to do this, just like you do on the monthly pages for this.
So this way I can have it all horizontal, just like the weekly chart, and I don't have to turn it all the time between writing on the calendar part and writing on the notes part. I don't mind turning it horizontally for the calendar part, just because I'm not on the calendar part a whole lot. There's what the weekly one looks like. Here's the monthly. So see how you turn it sideways, kind of like a checkbook? That's what the weekly one looks like before I fiddled with it. Okay? And then here is what it looks like after, so I can keep it horizontal. The other nice thing, aside from getting to have my weekly chart back, which I really desperately missed, is because the weekly chart opens up this way, I can also use that space on the back of the weekly chart for the upcoming week for more note space. So I have all of this and all of this for notes, which was one of my concerns. So if you wanted to put, hey, don't forget next week, this is coming up down here, the nice thing is when you go to your following week and you open up your book, this is what you'll see because this is folded in. So even though it was notes for the prior week, you'll see them on the following week because this is how it opens up. So as long as you don't forget to look at that when you open it up, and then you can add it here. Sometimes I just take Post-it notes, and put it on whatever week it applies to, which I can do more often now than I could in my Filofax because I have 4 months worth of inserts in here. In my Filofax, I only kept the current month, monthly pages, weekly pages, and daily pages, and then a couple of months in advance printed out, just the monthly pages and the monthly charts. So I didn't do so much of the whole, track down a Post-it note and make sure I have that month printed out. I've got 4 months all in one set here. And the other reason, aside from having this extra notes space over here, the other reason I can kind of get away for doing this, or get away with doing this over the summer, is because I still have my project pages back here. So, like, this is a good example. All of this stuff, stuff that I need to let somebody know when I send these files off for work, if I have a question about something, I make all these notes in the project pages with that particular project, and that way I don't have to go back digging through pages I've already used to find these notes. During the school year, I can do that with the day on 2 pages and get away with it because during the school year I tend to work in smaller chunks of time more frequently. So I get tiny chunks of time to work, but I do tend to get more of them. So even if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes here and there, I'll just make these notes on a daily page in my Filofax. During the summer, I tend to get larger chunks of time to work, but not as frequently. So the time itself equals out, but because it's larger chunks of time, I can rack up a lot of notes on one daily page, and then because I only keep the current month in my Filofax just for space, when I get ready to send a project off completely, I may have already archived those pages. So to get these notes, I have to go back through and dig them all out, from my archive binder, which is fine. I have it organized so I can find stuff pretty quickly, but I still have to go through that extra step of finding it. Whereas this way on the project pages, it's all together, and I have 4 months worth of planner pages. So if I do, if it's just handier and I jot something down on, a daily page in my notes or a weekly page of my notes, I'm going to have it, from May through August. So that is pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, let me know. I am going to keep this short because Liam just woke up and toddled into the room. So I hope it's not as muggy for you guys as it is here. It's kind of pointless to take a shower today because you go outside and you feel like you stepped right back in the shower again. So let me know what you think. It doesn't add too much bulk. Check that out. This is all the planner pages. I mean, it is big. Don't get me wrong. I didn't bind it. And there was one more thing I wanted to tell you guys. The only thing that I find a little bit challenging, which I'll work around, because as you get further through the summer here, you see the gap in between where the cover would rest, like on the table or on the desk, and where your weekly chart sits. Is quite a big gap. So you just have to be careful. You can, push this down and write on it. I didn't bind this, so I can just slide this right out if I want to and put it on the desk and write on it and put it back in. When I did my weekly setup for this week, I did that. I just pulled it out, but I generally do that in my Filofax anyway. I take out my weekly chart and my weekly calendar, and I just put them flat on the desk because I'm doing a lot of writing anyhow, so that's not really a big change. So that is it. You guys let me know what you think. If you have any questions, also let me know. All right, take it easy. I'm going to go deal with the toddler. Bye, guys.